So, dude, Saturday, you walk in through those doors, you feel that AC system hit you. What's the first thing you smell?
I don't know. Well, actually, depends on which part you would walk into. But if it was mostly where we walked into, which is like the food court, it was always the food that you smelled. It was the first thing that would always hit you.
What was that one food place that, like, as soon as you walked in, you always seemed to smell it, and it was like, whoa, like that. I'm just hungry now. Now I want to go and eat that.
Chopsticks, definitely.
Chopsticks.
Yeah. Chopsticks was.
But chopsticks, yeah.
Yeah, chopsticks was like a lot like it was like a Luby's type of.
Yeah, it was that Oriental food, and sometimes you'd get lucky enough where they had the teriyaki chicken or the bourbon chicken that they were like, here, try a sample before you went in.
Yeah, exactly. And there'd be a big ass line because it was really popular, but like it was only like a single serve, so like it wasn't like your traditional all you can eat buffet. It was just like a buffet. So like you would just go in line, and it wasn't.
Yeah, it was like the Wyatt's of Chinese food.
Exactly, Wyatt's.
Yeah,
there you go. That's Wyatt's is also good.
So then, all right, so if we're talking about chopsticks, and we're talking about coming in from the entrance on the mall side, we're not talking about entering through one of the anchor stores like Sears or Dillard's, unless you did come in through Sears, because that one went right by chopsticks on the bottom level, or top level, because the bottom level was Sabaros. Yeah. So bottom level used to be Sabaros, and then if you're looking at the restaurant, to the right of it was a Jolly Jim's pet shop.
That's right. Which always was always a unique smell because you smelled dogs and pizza. So
yeah, it was always, but yeah. So we think about that, and it's like the mall, like that was like the main hub, like it was like the lobby.
Yeah, that was the social network before the social network. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking, you had all the different stores, and El Paso was really lucky because with El Paso, we had that sort of like that triangle of the malls. So we had Cielo Vista, which was the east side, sort of like the main mall. Everybody went there. And then go down a little ways, and you had the central area mall, central east side, because it was still considered part of the east side as well. And you had Bassett Center. And Bassett Center, I mean, that one, you had the movie theater there at one time. You had the big food court with the arcade in the corner there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Sunland Park Mall, where Sunland Park Mall was an interesting one because it was always that upper higher class so much, but it seemed like that bougie mall.
That's the word I was looking for, bougie.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it was on the west side. Because in El Paso, that's the west side. The west side's the I guess like the money part.
It was, it was the upper, the upper echelon, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, like I thought it was a little bit bougie. Like you walk in, it was like everything looked bougie with that big ass marble horse that was in the front.
That's right, the big old marble horse in the front. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I remember. So it's like, yeah, it was bougie because of that.
Yeah. So today we're talking about the malls that housed us. Today is we're thinking about, going back in time a little bit and thinking about the malls were when our parents decided to let us out of the prison we called our homes. That was where we were. We hung out at the mall with our friends, or even sometimes with our parents. Even we'd go, with our parents. But yeah, and the mall is one of those weird things because it was like a video game in itself. You sort of had. So it was like you had the maze of shops. So, you knew that the anchor store, when you went with your parents, the anchor store was the boring, oh my God, my mom wants us to just go look at clothes. And you didn't always get to break away from your parents and go to do your own thing. So you sort of had to figure out how to entertain yourself by, trying to stay sane and civil. But then once you came out of that anchor store, it was like the whole world opened up, and that sandbox was like all of a sudden you see all the different characters. You had those little groups of preppy girls that would go and do the photo shots at was it Glamour Shots? I think it was. You had the kids outside who'd be, out there, and you knew they weren't 18, but they were out there smoking a cigarette with their friends. You had those goth kids who were like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out at Spencer's, or for a while. Well, Hot Topic, wasn't always around though. Hot Topic was later 90s.
So then before Hot Topic, what was like the goth? You said Spencer's, but what was another one that you consider like the goth store?
Really, that would have to have been like maybe like some of those, like the skate shop type stores where some of them would hang out, and it really varied. Like El Paso didn't have a whole lot in the mall in that sense. Maybe like the music stores, is where we'd see a lot of them, because all sorts of music, and of course anime DVDs and stuff. But most of the time I think about it, and I mostly saw them as they were walking through the mall. So it really didn't have a specific store that I saw them until Hot Topic came around. Once Hot Topic came around, then it was like that was where they were all at. And then from there, you had those refueling stations, the food courts. And Cielo Vista was really weird because it didn't have a specific food court.
Yeah, the food was all over the place.
Yeah, for a while. And then they actually created that food court up on the upper level by between Sears and Dillard's.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, it's still there even today.
Yeah, that's where they have a lot of the food stuff. But I remember like the Pretzel Factory, as that quick little snack place. Or I think it was a pretzel maker or something. But yeah, I remember walking by there and seeing our friends working there during the summer sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So then you had those other NPC characters like the security guards that we were always trying to avoid.
I remember specifically once the security guard, he was this big black dude that was built like a brick shit house. I mean, it was like muscle on top of muscle on top of muscle. The dude is huge, and he would just walk around, and he'd walk around like in the smallest shirt possible, so you could see his arms popping out.
Wow.
No, he was a big guy. I remember him being at least, let me see, because I'm 6 foot. He was probably a good. He was like 6'5", 6'5" or 6'4". He was a big dude. That's what I remember. But I specifically remember him walking because he was just like, just this intimidating.
So this must have been before they were on the Segways.
Yeah. So he would walk around and he was just this big dude. I was just like, damn, that is one dude that I'd be terrified to run from.
Yeah, see, we never really had too much of the problem with the security guards. I mean, we pretty much behaved for the most part. We never. I don't remember a time where we really had to evade or stay away from the security guard because we were afraid of them, saying anything. I remember one time, I don't remember, it might have been with you or it might have been with John, that we had a security guard follow us out of the mall thinking that we stole something. And we're like, dude, it might have been. But yeah, and we walked out, we're like, dude, you want to check us? Go right ahead. Like, we haven't touched anything. Like, and he's like, oh, well, we saw you. It's like, really? Where did you see us? And they mentioned one of the stores, and we're like, well, that's funny because we haven't even been in that store at all. Like, that's not one of our normal stores to go to, dude.
And you don't recall which store it is at all? Which store?
No, well, we were walking out of Walgreens. So it was when the Walgreens was there it was right as the Foley's had changed, or the Montgomery Wards had changed over to Foley's. So it was, probably I would say 99, 2000 maybe.
Okay.
And yeah, we were just like, yeah, no. And like the security guard backed off. Like he was just like, it was like, yeah, like, no, I was like, we just came into this store, we went there, we came back through here, and we were going back out this way.
All right. No.
See, and I think probably got into more trouble at the movie theaters at some of those malls than we did, and not even with the security guards. It was just with people in general. Like,
and Cielo Vista was weird too, because like Cielo Vista had one in the mall, and then they had one out of the mall.
Yeah.
The parking lot,
the one in the mall was a three theater cinema. So it was really, and I remember that to go into the cinema, you would have to like climb up either up some stairs or down some stairs as you were coming in or out.
Right.
And it went into the whole theater seating. They had it was a slight theater seating, but it wasn't a heavy incline like Cinemark or Tinseltown.
I remember it being really flat. I remember like you had to like actually move to the side a little bit so you could see past the people in the chair sometimes. Cause yeah, it was just weird. It It was
And
weird.
yeah, that one was an interesting one. I remember seeing a couple movies there. I remember going with my dad a couple times, and with my mom. We saw a couple movies.
I remember seeing two movies specifically because they're the ones that I'll never forget. It was Mortal Kombat, and I went with one of my other friends, Michael Balderrama.
Okay.
I went with him to go see Mortal Kombat. We had a blast, and I remember one of my other friends. He was waiting. He was actually coming out of the movie theater, and he almost spoiled the movie for us. But there was a guy
No.
behind us because like he was talking and like he said, "Oh yeah, there's gonna be this scene with," and like the guy behind us was like, "Shut the fuck up!"
Like,
That's what he
shut up.
said.
Yeah.
And like, you're like,
Yeah, and then they had the theater on the outside, which is like a 6 screen or a 8 screen theater. I think it was like a 6 screen theater.
I think it was an AMC at that time or something like that.
Yeah, it was like
a different. Yeah.
it was just one of the smaller branding ones, but Cineplex or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And then I remember going back to the one I was inside Cielo Vista. The second movie I vividly remember watching was Jurassic Park. That was Jurassic Park, and I took my dad to see it, and he fell asleep.
You know, it's funny. I could definitely imagine that happening.
And then I remember just looking over, like I remember I'm excited to watch the movie, and I looked right next to me, and he's just like,
Did he fall asleep like during the movie, or was it even
he
before
fell
the
asleep
movie has started?
throughout the entire. He missed the entire movie.
Oh my gosh.
He just sat there.
Yeah, I've done that a few times with Michaela.
I'm just like, gee, thanks, Dad. But yeah, those are the two memories I have. The core memories from the one inside, and of course, then the one outside. That's where me and you went to go see the remastered Star Wars.
That's right. We saw the remastered Star Wars, and I think we even saw the Return of the Jedi there. The remastered.
Oh, yeah, we saw all three of them. We saw 3 of them there.
So I think that one might have been Empire Strikes Back, because remastered Star Wars I think we saw at Bassett with one of the groups from school.
No, it was I remember definitely from Cielo Vista.
Okay, so it might have been Cielo Vista, and we went with them to Cielo Vista.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And then Bassett maybe was Empire. And
it may have been, right.
And then the third one, Return of the Jedi, we're back at that Cineplex. Yeah. Yeah, I remember some kid talking during one of them and getting some candy thrown at him and getting pegged right in the back of the head.
You hit him so good. You hit him so solid. I was impressed.
You know what? That's one of those where it's like, hey man, we're here to enjoy the movie. Like, shut up. Like, quit throwing things at the theater or at the screen. Like, just sit down, enjoy the movie, and we're good. But that was the cool thing about the mall is, that like you sort of got to experience all of this in one place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you had all sorts of shops there, it was okay. You had those shops that you wouldn't want to be caught dead in. All the fashion and clothing shops. I mean, some of them were okay, but like
I didn't really mind that one. It just got awkward when you went to like a Victoria's Secret, for example. That's when it got awkward.
See, that one, by that time I was old enough to where I could tell my mom, wait, you're going in there? Okay, I'm going to go over here, Mom. Let me know when you're done. I'll be in this shop.
Yeah.
And then I would just have to come back and check in if I was going to a different shop.
Right. And it was always awkward for me because like I grew up with 4 women in the house. So like they had to go do their shopping. I'm just like be dragged along. I'm like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing.
Right.
So yeah, it was just.
Did you used to have to hold all the bags and stuff?
Sometimes.
Yeah, you're sort of like the bag carrier. Like, okay, I've got all the bags.
Yeah, it's just funny because like you're just sitting outside this because like you don't want to go into any of the stores after they got in, so you just like you're bored and you just sit there with the Victoria's Secret bag in your hand. And you're just like, I don't know what's even more embarrassing.
Well, I mean, see, and that's one of those things that's really interesting to think about. It's like nowadays, if you go into that store, it's not a big deal. You're sort of like, but as a kid, it was like the worst store to be caught in.
Well, it was that one and Fredericks of Hollywood, I think, was the most uncomfortable. Yeah. I think Fredericks of Hollywood is a little bit more risque.
Now the question on that, though, is, what was it that made it so bad? Was it the fact that, they had these models who were, and I'm not talking about the figurine models, but I'm talking about like the picture and poster models that they had on the wall advertising their clothing that were, oh my God, so beautiful. But to us, it's just like, you're talking 11, 12, 13 on
Exactly,
up.
exactly.
You know, it's
It's
like
like
walking into instant boner.
boobs, boobs. It's just like that's what it was.
Yeah.
You're prepubescent children that were
Yeah.
just like anything would just like it was like a triggering effect.
Anything would trigger you. Exactly. You know?
That's exactly what it was. It was just so awkward.
It was just one of those where like, I don't want to be in here because then it's like, oh, and then your mom notices and she mentions something or she says something and it's like, thanks, Mom. Yeah, you could have just left it alone, not said anything.
Yeah, you pass by an advertisement or something, you just like it catches your eye, and you're just like.
Now hold on. Now think about how we use that though as a weapon in some cases. When we'd go with just our friends, and we'd have that game of, you know, like truth or dare, just to see who is brave enough to actually go in there, pick something out, and say, go up to the counter and say, I would like to try this on. I could think of 2 or 3 people who we did that to.
Okay.
Do you remember Craig?
Yes, I remember Craig.
Okay, so me, John, Heather, and I think John's ex Heather, and Craig all went to the mall one day, and we dared him to do that, and he did it. He was just like, well, come on. I was like, no, just be brave. You know, it's like the worst they can tell you is no, you can't. And if they tell you that, then it's cool. We're all good. If they tell you yes, you can, then that's your decision on if you want to take this to the next level and push the boundaries, or if you want to be like, okay, thanks, I was just kidding, and walk away. And you know what? I give the kid props. I mean, he really. I sort of feel bad because I mean, it really was bullying in a sense. It really, really was.
Yes, it was.
but you know what? I give the kid props because he did it. And after he did it, he was like, it wasn't that bad, you know, but he would be willing to do it just to show like, come on, like I've got the balls, I'll do it. You know, as much as, and it was really just because of him wanting, you know, that companionship and friendship from all of us. And it was like, you know, I feel bad about picking on you.
And it was sad because he ended up being like the punching bag, you know, guys. Yeah. We're terrible people. Oh, it's really just terrible people. Terrible.
But yeah, and then like, you know, I remember getting my ear pierced at Spencer's. Spencer's was that place where I actually got my first piercing done there.
Right.
And you know, it was like, oh, I'm 18 now. I can go and get this done. It was like the day after I turned 18, and you know, went with my friends, and it was great. You know, but then I think about some of the other shops, like where I spent most of my time at the mall. I mean, WaldenBooks was a great shop. I loved it because
I love WaldenBooks.
All sorts of books. You know,
WaldenBooks was where I picked up like one of my first anthology comic books.
Okay. So yeah, and you had all different types. You know, you had the video gaming stuff when you needed a strategy guide, or you're like, I'm stuck here. I just need to go look at a strategy guide real quick to see it. Like you didn't even need to purchase it. You just needed one little. That's what I'm missing, you know, type thing.
Yeah, it was just a little bit before Barnes and Noble too. So that was a primary bookshop. So it was like it had everything. It was just like a Barnes and Noble, just without the coffee.
See, and the cool thing about Bassett was Bassett had a different one called B. Dalton's.
B. Dalton. I remember B. Dalton. Absolutely.
So, and I think Cielo Vista had a B. Dalton's for a while too, but it was on the other side, the Montgomery Ward side.
Did they?
If I remember correctly, and this was when I was younger. This was like I was probably, God, I would have to say 7, 8 years old, maybe. Okay, I remember there being another one. But I remember Brookstone.
Man, Brookstone. Jeez, just a bunch of
a bunch of adult toys. Just a bunch of adult, you know, cool toys, cool things to play with in electronics.
Right. And I remember going with the electronics. I remember Electronics Boutique, EB.
Oh yeah, the original GameStop. Yeah.
Yep. I remember just sitting there for hours, just looking at these games that I'll never play or never afford. Just looking at them to the window, and just you know losing some time there.
It's funny because if I remember correctly, you could get the used games there too, right?
Yeah, it was one of the first ones you could actually sell used games. Yeah.
So it was in a sense where the GameStop.
Well, if I remember correctly, I think it was Electronics Boutique, and then I think GameStop bought them out, and it became GameStop.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that makes sense then. Yeah, but then you also had Suncoast Video.
Suncoast.
And, I mean,
Suncoast.
Suncoast was that was a different store. That they had so many great videos, and you could find almost anything there.
Yeah, that's where I would usually buy my animes from. But they would be so pricey. Even back then, they were really pricey. I mean, you're talking about I think $40 and up. I think.
Yeah, I remember I bought like the first maybe 2 episodes. It was like the first 2 episodes or 3 episodes of like the Highlander show, and it was like $40 for the 3 tape set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it was. I mean, it was they had the coolest stuff, and I mean, you could find crazy stuff there. I mean, they had videos there that you wouldn't find at Blockbuster that you could rent. You know, they had stuff like. Sometimes I remember seeing like Faces of Death. And I'm like, wow, what's this? And I couldn't buy it. My mom's like, oh, hell no.
Right.
And that's when I had to find other places to rent that and see it. And finally, when I was older, my mom's like, well, okay, you're going to watch it anyways.
It was actually one of the first places I can remember where it had like the graphic tees of the movies. I think it was one of the first ones ever. I remember buying a bunch of t-shirts from there. I remember buying a Vampire Hunter D shirt from there, a Kira shirt. God, what else did I buy from there? I bought a lot of shirts. I think I bought, one time, like a throwback Transformers, Star Wars shirts. I bought all kinds of stuff there. And it was the first time I can remember with those graphics on there.
No, and I remember getting posters there. Mm-hmm. They had some of the statue figurines and stuff there too that you could get from
the first toys, like the first little first figurines that you could see everywhere nowadays. Yeah.
So that was a pretty cool one. Now, me and Monica had a debate about this one. So do you remember the mall opening side by what would be the Hot Topic side now, where you had the mall opening? It didn't have an anchor shop to it, but it was closest to like where the Macy's is. Okay, so do you remember, that entrance I'm talking about, right? Okay, so when you went in there was a Taco Cabana on the right-hand side. It was a food place right there, Taco Cabana.
Okay.
And then across from that was a music store. I want to say it was like a Sam Goodies or something, but it was a music store. It was before FYE was there.
Right, so it was, yeah, so it was a Taco Cabana. Yeah, so you walk in.
I'm confirming this with you. It was a Taco Cabana, right?
Yeah, it was a Taco Cabana.
Okay. I thought I was correct. Okay.
So yeah, because I remember you walk in, and so you walk into this side, and then on the right side was that Taco Cabana you're talking about, and on the left, it was, I believe, a Sam Goody.
See, I couldn't remember. I thought I remember it being a Sam Goody. But I remember my Aunt Irene working there, or always she got me like tapes from there or something. But when her and Marty were first dating, or first married, I think, if I remember correctly. But I remember that was one of those triggering memories that I could see it, but I couldn't see it correctly. Like everything felt blurred. And then I remember there being a candy shop there too, right next to the Sam Goodies.
Okay.
Or around that area. Because that's where they had that was where I was able to first get sugar-free candies. Like the sugar-free gummy bears and stuff that I could eat because they were sugar-free.
Was it a Sam Goody? What was it called? Was it a Sam Goody, or was it something else? It'll probably hit me sometime later on, but yeah, I couldn't. So I thought Sam Goody was more in the inside, but anyway, go for it.
It might have been, and that's what I was saying. I was like, I'm trying to remember what it was called, and I couldn't remember. So might be something I might have to try to confirm through Facebook with somebody. Might ask Marty and Irene and see if they remember.
Musicland?
Maybe. That could possibly be. But
that sounds familiar. But anyway, yeah.
So, but thinking about that, like, that was Cielo Vista. Like, Cielo Vista, I remember, man, do you remember the Carlos and Mickey's up at the third story Dillard's?
That was a Carlos and Mickey's? I thought it was something else.
No, sir. It was actually a Carlos and Mickey's. It was, and they closed that in, like, I want to say like 95 or 96.
Because I do remember that restaurant up there, but I knew it was a Carlos and Mickey's.
Yep. I remember it, and I don't remember if the name is correct, but I do remember, after doing the research, I found out it was. I remember going there like 2 or 3 times for my birthday, as like my birthday dinner with my parents.
Okay.
Because it was on the third story. We got to sit right there by the window so we could see out and see the mall and stuff. And it was the coolest thing as a kid.
Yeah, it was a nice view. You could see everything out there. Yeah, I remember that. So, I just didn't remember it was a Carlos and Mickey's. I'll be damned.
But yeah, and then I think about Bassett. And Bassett was always so much, I don't know how to describe it. It was
smaller.
Smaller, yes, but I want to say more like old-fashioned, maybe. It was that older mall, because Bassett was the first mall.
Okay, so yeah, it was just one level, and
but I remember always entering through either the food court, because they had their own designated food court. So right. you had the Orange Julius, and you had the Sabaros, and then you had the Tilt Arcade, and then you had the corn dog on a stick.
Theaters. And then
the movie theaters were on the other side, right?
Yeah.
And then there was the restaurant that was right across from the movie theaters that always changed. It started out as like a Philly cheesesteak place. And then they changed it to something else, and then
the Chinese, and it became Mexican, and
it just never lasted. Or I remember entering through the Popular when it was the Popular before
the
Costco.
Popular. Yeah, I remember going to the Popular a lot because they had a lot of specials at the Popular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you remember the candy counter at the Popular where they had all the chocolates and stuff like that?
I don't.
Want to know something? You want to know something really funny, and this is going to really blow your mind. My mom and Nina worked at the Popular at the same time.
Shut up! Really? That's funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. My mom mentioned it one time, and Nina confirmed it for me, and I was like, "Wow, that's a trip." Especially thinking of how everything. Thinking of.
So they were coworkers then?
Yeah, I don't know if they were like coworkers in the same department, but they, like, my mom mentioned her and stuff like that. So yeah.
Huh. I didn't know that. That's funny.
But yeah, I remember entering through there because I remember the chocolatier counter area was always one of the go-tos. Like, and it was either we'd go to it as we were leaving or go to it as we came in, because I could get like 2 pieces of chocolate. And they had sugar-free chocolates, which was what made it even better, because it was actually something I could eat and enjoy.
Yeah, I didn't remember that. What I do remember, I mean, as far as like, I just remember the sampling. I remember there was a lot of sampling food.
Oh yeah,
so, like it's like you would just see like just a random person just sitting there with like a piece of chicken, or it was always chicken. Never mind, it was always chicken. That was on display.
Yeah, it was like bourbon chicken or some
fried
other
chicken.
Yeah, some other like it was like the Wendy's would do like a spicy chicken.
Wendy's, yes, I vividly remember the Wendy's.
It was that little hole in the wall Wendy's where you picked up your food and they had all the tables on the side.
That's right.
And then across from the Wendy's there was an ice cream cart or something there.
Yep.
And then they turned it into like a candy shop where it had like a little bit of candy things that you could get too.
Like candy dispensers, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
So, but then when you went in, you had all the different stores, but the stores were like they felt, I guess, just felt older. The style and design, I guess.
Like mom and pop stores were.
Yeah, it was like mom and pop stores, and they weren't mom and pop stores. I mean, they were name stores. There was, I remember, a Foot Locker being there.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there being like a Hollywood and Vine.
Yep. That's where I bought a lot of shirts too from Hollywood.
That's where I bought a lot of my posters from there.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember there being this, the stuff like that. But then I remember there being like, I don't remember there being as much of the toy stores. Like there wasn't really a KB's that I remember.
KB's. I
Yeah,
remember KB's.
KB's was always that Cielo Vista store.
Yeah, yeah. KB's was they had the
Now,
best toys. Yeah.
now I remember there being, and I don't know if it was a toy store or a hobby shop that was attached or was in the mall in that food court section where the bathrooms are now. There used to be a shop there, and it started out as I remember it as a hobby shop. Like, because I remember getting like my model rockets there, the SD model rockets there. I remember getting a couple of those there with my dad. I remember seeing like puzzles and getting puzzles. Like, that's what I see in my brain. I remember getting my RC car, my first, like,
Right. Yeah. I remember. Yeah.
with the little trigger RC car that you ran, that you'd go to the places to race them at.
Yes. Yeah.
So I remember that stuff being there, but I couldn't confirm it in the notes and in all the details I was looking for this episode. So I was like, man, I'm gonna have to ask Fernie if I'm remembering this correctly, or if it was like maybe it was in a dream or something, and I just dreamed it up.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. Yeah. Now that you remember, now that you mentioned it, sorry. Yeah, I do remember that hobby shop. I forgot the name of it, but I remember walking in and being like, "Oh, there's a model plane. There's models of cars here." I think, if I'm not mistaken, I bought a model of Airwolf
Nice.
from that store. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, but then, as you know, if I think about the interior of the mall, I remember there being a Radio Shack. I think that was probably my favorite shop there at Bassett. Because
Radio Shack? Really?
Yeah, there was a Radio Shack, and it was a
I
smaller
remember the
shop.
Radio Shack. I remember the Radio Shack. I don't think I could say it was my favorite.
They had stuff I could play with. I was into the electronics, so I could go in and look at they had these really cool sets that they used to sell, and it was like a wiring board, and so you would have to put, you know, these wires, and they had different length wires, and they would go, you know, to certain little spring things that you would load the wire in, and it would cause a current.
Right.
So you would set these wires up to do certain things where you'd hit a button and it would make a noise, or it would do something and then that would set something else off. So it was really cool. And that's where they sold those. That's where I remember seeing those. But then it was really just like learning about speakering. My dad was into running the speaker wires and stuff like that and setting up his sound system. So that's where I had to learn about that stuff. And that was exactly the shop that I remember, you know, a lot of shopping at. I remember there being one at Cielo Vista too for a while.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
But
wow.
what about you? What are some of the ones you remember from Bassett? Because I guarantee you, your memory of shops would definitely be different than mine.
Well, because like my dad has a sweet tooth, so we went to Dillard's a lot, and I remember him buying a lot of clothes from Dillard's because there were some weekends where Dillard's would have like 80% off or 90% off.
Yeah, they'd have the sales where you'd get like 20% off, and then you'd get another like 30 or 40% off a certain tag color.
Exactly. They had these crazy discounts. So he would go there and buy. I hated
going to those with my mom.
Well, my dad loved it, and I liked going with my dad. I liked going with my dad because like he would say, "Oh, like, yeah, look at this and try this on, and look at this." And so like he'd buy me amounts of clothes, and he'd buy himself amounts of clothes too. So yeah, so like we always had fun because, you know, we'd be there just, you know, look at these brand name clothes that we would be, you know, just happy to wear.
Yeah, no, I see, and I think part of the reason for me it was different. Like, I didn't care for that kind of stuff with my mom was because I didn't really get a choice in what I wore. My mom was sort of strict about the style of clothing I wore. So it made it hard on me because I would see stuff that I liked and I'm like, oh, that would be, and my mom's like, well, no, because you can't wear that to school. Yeah. And it's like, so in grade school, I wore uniforms, dude. So the only thing I really had a choice on was my shoes. And even then I had to be choosy on my shoes because of the fact of I knew that shoes had to last me all year long. You know, so it was like, oh, well, you know, so for me, it was easier with, you know, in high school, I preferred combat boots and, you know, the Sketcher tag boots and stuff like that. In grade school, it was always like they were sort of like the nicer end shoes, but they weren't like these like leather styled shoes. They were sort of like that step below, because that's what I had to wear for school for 5th through 8th grade.
Right.
And then, as a kid in 4th grade, and below that, I really don't remember. I just remember, my mom sort of always picking the clothes. So it was really like, oh, well, this, and it was clothes that I would get as gifts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was never really big into the fashion scene. I really didn't get big into the wanting to like, hey, mom, like, let me have a little bit of a choice on my clothes more until high school. As far as going out, like I didn't like to wear jeans. So that was part of the issue, was I really just didn't care. I didn't like the feeling of jeans.
Okay.
And eventually I did. But, for a while I didn't like the feeling. I didn't like shorts that were above my knees. Like I wanted my shorts to be below my knees because I was just uncomfortable. And it was just that, I don't know if it was that feeling thing or what. But I think that's what made it so hard. So it was like going shopping like that for clothes with my mom was tough, because it was really like I'd see this, I'd want this, and my mom was like, well, no, because you can't wear that to school. I'm like, well, but I can wear it on weekends. I can wear it. Well, no, I was like, okay, fine. Or she just didn't like the design of it.
Right. Yeah. That's.
But it was, yeah. But like, what else? So Dillard's. What else do you remember?
I remember Mervyn's. That was actually at Bassett, and the Popular, like you said before. I remember the Popular.
I remember going to Mervyn's for concert tickets a lot.
Yeah, because I think Mervyn's had Ticketmaster inside of it.
Yeah, it had the Ticketmaster in the customer service area.
That's right. And then what else do I remember? Jeez. I remember going to JCPenney a lot. JCPenney was a staple for the family because we almost bought the majority of the clothes from JCPenney.
JCPenney's seemed like, for the El Paso area, it really was. That's where a lot of families went.
Because like JCPenney,
the prices were good.
Yeah, and JCPenney also had like a store downtown. I remember the big store that they had downtown too. They had that one.
Yeah. See, I never went to the downtown one. Well, I mean, I might have when I was younger with my grandma or with my dad and mom and stuff, but I don't remember it. But I remember the mall. I definitely remember, the Cielo Vista Mall JCPenney's. I remember Sunland Park Mall JCPenney's.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, JCPenney was like a staple here.
What about like the interior stores? Like what do you remember about the interior stores? Like what are some of those smaller stores that you might have gone to that you can think about? Because like I said, I guarantee I remember a few, but the ones I remember are definitely going to be different than the ones you remember.
Yeah, so I remember a lot of the shoe stores.
Okay.
There was a Payless shoe store, and then there was
that one a lot.
There was a place called Butler's Shoes.
Butler's Shoes. I don't remember that.
Butler's Shoes had women's and children's footwear.
Okay.
And I remember going there a lot.
So it was like sort of like another Payless.
It was kind of like Payless, but it had a little bit like higher brand.
Okay.
So I remember getting my shoes from Butler's Shoes, where I got a lot of BK Knights.
Yep. I remember those.
Those British Knights. I had a lot of BKs growing up. And I remember always passing by, I forgot the name of the athletic shoe store that was there. I think it was a Foot Locker. I think it was a Foot Locker. I just seen the Jordans. Just seeing the Jordans I always wanted, but I never got until I was much older. But that's what I always wanted. I always wanted Nike, or always wanted Adidas. I always wanted the big name brand ones.
See, and I was the same way. Yeah.
BKs. I always had the BKs. So
I remember. I think the closest things I got to that were the ones that had the little diamond things on the back end of it that like lit up.
The light up shoes. Yes. Yeah.
See, and for me it was weird though, because I had issues with my feet.
Right, because of the diabetes, or
no. It was just the way, like, my arches and stuff were weird. So for a while I had to wear orthotics in my shoes. So
Okay.
it was like I could only wear certain shoes and stuff like that. And it was, I don't know, it was a comfort thing, I guess, more than anything. But then once I got into, getting older and, I'd see these really cool shoes. And I remember the air up ones. Do you remember the pump up ones that you would, you squeeze the little ball in the middle? And I
Mm-hmm.
remember getting a pair of those. I remember the Dimacell, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember those, and I remember wanting like these, like the Jordans and stuff. They were just way too expensive for me.
Even back then, they were way expensive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's just that's just funny though. The BKs, man, British Knights. I remember those shoes.
Yeah.
Man.
See, and it's funny. I think about it now, and like some of the shoes that I wore back then are still around. I mean, Nikes, of course. I didn't wear Nikes a whole lot back then, but like Skechers. Skechers are still around. They're still a big name, good name brand. I mean, you buy a pair of Skechers and they last for a while.
They do. They really do. I remember the ones that I bought too were lugs. I remember lugs.
Lugs, yes.
And I loved my lugs. I had 3 pairs of lugs. I had a white pair, a black pair, and a beige pair. And yeah, they were comfortable shoes. I'm sorry. I mean, they looked like boots, but they were nice shoes to have.
That was like Doc Martens.
Yeah, exactly. They were Doc Martens for dudes. That's exactly what they were. And I always liked those pair. Unfortunately, because of a certain someone, an ex, when we get rid of them, I'm like, go fuck yourself. But no.
You know what? I understand, dude. I mean, I could think of that like for me, Skechers. I loved the Sketcher boots. Those were just the most comfortable, and they were work boots.
Yeah.
But they were the most comfortable boots that I could find, and they were just like, I loved them because of the fact you had that, the steel toe. It was nice, but those lasted forever too, and so it would be like the next year I'd have to buy a new pair just because I grew out of them, not because they were torn up. And then when I, started getting into high school, it was like I was in ROTC, so what did I wear? I wore combat boots. Whatever I could snag from the ROTC, supply room. I snagged probably about 4 pairs of combat boots from the supply room.
Really?
Just by talking to the supply officer, and he would give me 1 pair and I'd try them on, and they fit right, but I was like, no, I think they're too small. Can I get a different pair and I'll bring the other pair back tomorrow? And he'd be like, yeah. And
he never brought them back.
Never brought them back, and they all fit. They all were just right. They were all within like 1 size or a half a size bigger, right, type thing. So it's like it gave me that little bit to grow into. So I
that always stood up. That always stood out to me. Those boots that you always had.
Yeah, but you know why I actually wore those boots a lot, right? You never looked at them carefully when I was wearing stuff, did you?
Did you have steel toe boots? Is that what they were?
No. So the laces I would wear long to wrap around my ankle, right?
Right.
Well, where that lace was wrapped and tied, I had a boot knife.
You had a boot knife?
I always had a boot knife tied up to it.
I didn't know you had a boot knife.
It was one of those where I figured out, I can stash a boot knife there. And 2 times I almost got caught with it, and I was able to sort of like kick it up so it didn't get seen. But yeah.
Right. But why would you need a boot knife?
It was one of those things where in a few people I didn't feel safe around.
Okay.
And it was just like kids in my class, and they were threatening me, and it was like, I'm going to make sure I'm protected.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the whole reason. I wanted some way of protecting myself.
Oh man, and what about the kiosks? Do you remember those kiosks?
Oh, man. So I remember the one that had the the sunglasses. It was Sunglass Hut.
Okay.
Now, I remember one from Sunland Park was the Dead Sea mineral salt stuff that you would use for like washing your hands and stuff like that. It was an exfoliant type salt.
Mm-hmm.
And it, it was, supposedly it came from the Dead Sea, it was, whatever, all natural, botanical, what.
Right.
It worked really well. Like you'd actually wash your hands with it. And after you rinse your hands, I mean, your skin did feel softer. But it was one of those where you bought the salt and they want you to buy this too and buy this too. And it was like this whole kit thing. And I was just like, nah, it's all right. It was always fun to go and try it out. And then thanks, have a nice day. But yeah, that was one of the ones from Sunland Park that I remember. Seeing like the shops at Sunland Park, I really don't remember a whole lot of them. I don't remember going to Sunland Park enough.
At Sunland, it was almost the same thing where they had Sears, JCPenney, Dillard's, and then Victoria's Secret was there also. They also had Aladdin's Castle arcade there as well. They had the food court. Of course, the food court was massive. I remember the food court was being really big.
Yeah, I do. I remember that one.
Coast was there also. They had a Suncoast. I remember it being just a little bit bigger than the one at Cielo Vista.
See, I do remember that. Yeah, I do remember that one.
I think that was because when they closed the Suncoast in Cielo Vista, it crushed me. Then I had to go all the way to the west side to buy stuff because there was a Suncoast that was in Sunland that I had to constantly go to for a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, no, I remember the one at Sunland being bigger. I remember the stores in general at Sunland being a little bit bigger. They had bigger shop sizes. So I remember, some of those, like the arcade was really cool because I remember it being like almost like a black light arcade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was. It was a black light arcade, and I remember one year they had a full motion. It was a full motion arcade game. I think it was. They had Afterburner, okay. And in Afterburner, you had you just normally had the stick, but this one you could actually sit in and it would flip you over. So like you could
yes.
So you could do all this kind of stuff. So they would buckle you in, and like it was like over here, and over here. It's like, okay, just like don't try and do too many spins. What's the first thing you did?
Yeah, no. If I remember correctly with that one, it didn't do the full 360. It went side to side pretty well, and then it sort of did the tilt like that, where if you were sort of like coming down, it would do that. But I don't remember doing a full 360, but I remember it like shifting you. And
I think I remember the 360 because I got dizzy one time.
Oh, no, you know what? It very well may have. It just may have been one of those, like, at that time I didn't like to go upside down, so for me it was like, nah, I'll stay to my limits. I remember there being a helicopter one like that too that they had that you could. It made almost like a circle pattern, and then it did the tilting, and you could do the full circle like this around, like if you were hovering.
Yeah.
So, but that one had a lot of those higher end games, which was really cool. That Aladdin's Castle in Cielo didn't have, and Tilts, I think, was the one in Bassett Center.
Yeah, Bassett Center was Tilts, absolutely. Yeah, but I remember those arcades being packed. They were way packed. It was always like, here's $1, go play. I'm like, $1? Oh, man.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I can play 2 games maybe.
Yeah, then I was like, I would just put the $1 in and then be done like in 5 minutes. I'm back.
Yeah, and it was usually like when we'd go and do that, like $5 I think was about the max. And it was always like my dad would give me like $2, and then he'd always have a couple extra dollars. But my dad would go and sit there and put a couple quarters in a machine and start playing, and he'd be playing on a machine for a while.
Yeah.
So I remember, it was like I'd die real quick and be like, oh man, like, Dad, can I have another $1? He's like, all right, this is the last one, and so, but those were, definitely some of those, or you play the games like the skee ball and stuff to win the tickets.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
you'd get all those tickets, and then you'd find out that the thing you wanted, you were short like 25 tickets, and you're like I have to wait till next time.
25 tickets. I was like, I was short by like 1,000.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, see, and it's funny now though, is because like I still deal with that on, with Michaela when we go to places. They have in Marble Falls, they have a Putters and Gutters, and they have Mr. Gaddy's out here, which has the same ticket thing.
They have a Mr. Gotti's there?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I remember when they opened Gotti World at Bassett, and it was there for like about 2 or 3 years. They had a crazy arcade there. I remember they had like a pretty good arcade, and then they had indoor go-karts.
Ooh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, they had an indoor go-kart.
Interesting.
But I think there was a lot of accidents because a lot of jackasses didn't know how to drive a
Makes
go-kart.
sense. I mean,
So then, yeah, they had to disband it.
all because they fuck it all up for the rest of us, huh?
Yep. Yeah. So
Yeah. See, I don't remember that. Like I remember Tilts, but I don't know if maybe that was that after Tilts?
yeah, way after. Way
Okay.
after.
So it was, yeah. See, I do not remember that. I remember the pizza place that they had the all-you-could-eat pizza for a while there. It was that restaurant as you came in, the same one that we talked about that never was able to keep a location.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah,
I remember that pizza place because it was a buffet, so you could get all. That's where usually we'd go to start with because we could go and get pizza.
Yeah. I just never stuck.
But wow, So was Gaddy's Town? Was that one? Where did they have that? Was that where they had the old movie theater?
Yeah. After the movie theater shut down,
Okay.
that's what they put Gotti World there, and it was like
Okay.
it was pretty cool because like they had their own sections where you can have your pizza, and they had pizza parties here and there, and they had the arcade. The arcade was massive. I remember the arcade being huge, and then that's when I saw the indoor go karts. I was like, the hell?
Was it
okay?
was it
cool.
a pretty simple course, or did it have was it like a multi-level track?
It was a simple course.
Okay. It was sort of like the putt-putt type one where, it's just like a little straightaway into the end, and yeah, okay. So yeah, and that was not one of those things that I got to experience as part of the mall. Like, really, the last thing I remember there was the movie theater, and then I remember the movie theater closing down, and that was for Bassett. Though, was because Bassett was one of those malls that I didn't go to a whole lot. But, when we did go, it was usually there was a certain store we were going to because it was only there at that location.
Right. Like mainly it was like the popular, right?
No, actually, believe it or not, most of the time it was like Target because I'd go with my grandma.
Target, well, yeah, Target's still there. It's been there for a long time.
Yeah, but Target was one of those, and then like some of the stores on the inside, I'd go with my mom and stuff like that. But it was just one of those. She liked that store better because of something, like she knew the person who worked there, and she was friends with them or something like that.
The one store I vividly do remember is the Gap.
The Gap.
Because my older sister Carrie, that's where she started first working. She was working at the Gap.
Wow. Okay.
And I remember going with my parents, either or of them to go pick her up. So it was like late at night. It was like maybe 11 o'clock. We would go over there, pick her up, and then take her home, and she'd be just, talking about her day. Oh my God, there was this asshole, and there was this bitch, and there was this. She'd go on and on.
Well, and it's funny, I think about friends of ours who worked at the mall, because like I never worked at any of the stores at the mall. Did you?
No, I did not.
Okay. Yeah. So like I think about like friends of mine who worked at the mall, and Vinny, I remember her and Laura worked at the Pretzel Time, I think it was.
I remember.
And then I remember her also working at some of those kiosks inside the mall too a couple times.
Yep. Yeah. Which was the one that she worked on, the kiosk?
It was like a cell phone case one, or.
Right. Yeah, that's when the cell phones were first coming out.
Uh-huh.
She worked. Yeah. Yeah.
And then who else? Someone else worked at the mall too. Now I can't remember who else might have worked at the mall. I remember, knowing people who worked there, just like going to Putney's and knowing the guy who did the karaoke on Saturday nights because of Tim and Beverly.
Putney's. Yeah, Putney's. That was a place. That was a cool hangout place, was Putney's.
Yeah.
And Putney's, of course, if people don't know what Putney's was, it was a restaurant.
It was a bar and grill.
Bar and grill restaurant that every Saturday night they had karaoke there. So yeah, that's where a lot of people would hang out.
So, and it's funny because Putney's was actually at both malls.
Mm-hmm.
And the karaoke they did at the Bassett Center Mall on Fridays. And then that guy also did the karaoke on Saturdays at the Cielo Vista Mall.
Which one did you go to?
We went to Cielo Vista a lot because that's where Tim and Beverly would go. So we'd go and meet them because that was, my mom saying the Saturday nights was, we'd go out for karaoke, and usually we'd get to the mall a little bit early so we could walk around the mall, and like Dawn and Nanette would go and walk around the mall. And I think you came with us a few times. I remember.
Yeah. I regret the chicken fried steak. The chicken fried steak was the best. That was the best.
See, for me, it was the sandwiches, the Philly cheesesteak sandwiches. Those were amazing. And then, but yeah, usually, we'd go and walk the mall for a little bit, for the hour or two, hour and a half before it closed. And then we'd come and order food and karaoke. And then about midnight, 1 o'clock, we'd head home. And but I didn't go to karaoke on the Friday night one.
Okay.
I knew people who did. I think Tim and Beverly might have gone to the Friday night one and stuff like that because they knew some of the guy, the guy who did it. But I didn't hang out there. I remember going there a couple times. Maybe I went there once, if I remember correctly, with my grandfather. We went and had lunch there because we went to the mall for something, and then we went and had lunch, and then we went back home. But yeah, the Cielo Vista Mall, Putney's was the one I remember that one. I remember singing a few different songs. I remember a few different people singing songs.
Right.
I can still see, my mom and Beverly singing one of the songs that they did. I think it was one of the Reba McEntire ones.
Right? Reba. I don't know your mom was into Reba McEntire.
My mom's always been into country, dude. Like for a while.
Well, I know she was a country. I just didn't know that she was like.
Oh yeah, Reba was one of the ones growing up. She had quite a few of those CDs.
Interesting. I didn't know that. You learn something new every day. Look at that. Man, wow.
But so let's look at this in a which type aspect.
Okay.
Which mall would you say overall had the best aesthetic for us? As far as what we think would be like, oh yeah, this was the more enjoyable of the malls.
Yeah, Cielo Vista, absolutely.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with that one.
Yeah, Cielo Vista had
I think the stores were better.
There's a lot more stores too.
Yeah, I think it seemed like it had a lot more stores, and they just had more different quality and different types. So there was more variety of the stores.
Right.
Food court. Who do you think had the best food court?
That was Bassett.
Really?
Yeah, I think Bassett had the best food court.
No, I disagree with that one. Sunland Park had the better food court, I think.
Sunland, really?
Yeah.
Why?
Sunland Park had more of the... so they had like the corn dog on stick. They had the Sabaros. They had the... What was it? The Chinese one. Orange Tree Express or something like that. That was one of the quick service Chinese one. Then you also had around the other side, they had like a little Mexican restaurant one that was pretty good.
Okay.
Then they also had the Chick-fil-A, which did follow directions as far as the closed on Sundays. They were never open on Sundays. You had the Orange Julius.
Okay.
Downstairs you had the ice cream of the future. Was it the Dippin' Dots?
Dippin' Dots.
So they had the Dippin' Dots downstairs that you could go and get, and I liked the arcade too. I think the arcade was a better arcade.
Okay, I know. I mean, Bassett, they just had. I think there was also the same variety. They had the Wendy's in there. They had Sabaros in there also. They had a Chinese restaurant. I just forgot the name of it too. It may have been the same one, or it may have been different. I forget. They had the Mexican one too. What did they have? They had Tilt, which is like right next. It was like in between the restaurants, and it was like this little hole in the wall place you could go into. But yeah, I remember
But
that.
you know what? That one was interesting because as small as it looked, it was actually pretty big because it expanded outwards as you came in. So
yeah,
they did a really cool design of that.
Right. And then I think at one time they even had a Subway in there too.
Ooh, see, I don't remember the Subway.
Yeah, I remember the Subway because I remember when they first started going there, I was like, it smells bready. What is that? It was a Subway.
I remember there being an Orange Julius there.
Right.
That one was so if you're looking at Tilts, it was to the left of Tilts.
Right.
Like directly to the left. And then directly to the right was the corn dog on a stick. And then next to that was the Japanese restaurant.
Yeah.
One.
Yes.
Okay, and then around the corner was the Wendy's. And then across the way was where they had the little ice cream thing. Come back this way, and that's where they had the little Mexican restaurant. And then the Chinese food restaurant right there.
And then the Sabaros.
And then the Sabaros.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we're thinking about the same layout then. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think, you know what I think it really what made Sunland Park better, in my opinion, I think it was just maybe they had more variety, because they did they had some that none of the other ones had as well. Like they had the Greenery, which was an interesting restaurant, but they also had the quick service stuff that you could get to at the little market thing. So that was pretty cool because they had the different cheeses and stuff. So that was really neat to try and do too. Who do you think had the best arcade?
To go Sunland.
See,
I'm gonna have to say Sunland. Tilt was pretty good. I would have to say it was Sunland's Aladdin Castle, then Bassett Center, and then Cielo Vista.
See, and I don't know. I personally like Cielo Vista.
Okay.
Because they had the multi levels of gaming. So you had it was built on, you had the top area. If you remember, when you go in, that's where you had the prize counter. You also had the token machines right there. And then you'd go down to the second floor, and then there was games there. That was a whole section of games, and they had like all the fighting games, all the shooting games were in that section. And then you went around that section, and there was all the skee ball and the basketball games. And then you went up a section, so it was like sort of like, here's a level down here. This part is on the same level like as all the other games, but then you had another stairwell that came back up to the main level where the booth and stuff was.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it sort of, I think the design, and it was made that way as like it made it, when they originally opened it, it was made to look castle-esque, like with that design. So I think that's really what it was just they actually, I liked the interior layout and design a little bit.
I know it's not because of that because the Afterburner game was always awesome, and then that's when I first played Marvel vs. Capcom. That's when I first played it.
Really?
Yeah.
See, the first game I played at Sunland Park was actually the sniper one.
Was it something
Silent Scope or something?
Silent Scope. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that one. That was cool.
That one that was the first place I played it at, was at Sunland Park Tilts or Aladdin's Castle. No, was it I don't think it was Aladdin's Castle. We're gonna have to look that one up.
Okay.
But yeah, so Sunland Park's arcade was definitely, I liked their game better there. I liked the floor design better at Cielo Vista. And Tilts was okay. Like, I mean, Tilts was a take it or leave it. They had all the arcades, really. I mean, they all had the same game.
Pretty much.
So it was.
Although Tilt did have a home run derby game that I really did like.
Was that the one where you actually had the baseball bat, like, and you could actually swing it? Yeah, okay, I remember that one. Where it had like a batting cage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember that one. So yeah, so that one was pretty cool at Tilts, and definitely. But yeah, I would definitely say my part part of me goes for the games at Sunland, floor design at Cielo, though. Yeah. And Tilts is just there.
Gotcha.
Now, who do you think had the better anchor stores, like JCPenney's, Mervyn, Cielo Vista, like in, as their layout?
I think it was Cielo Vista.
Really?
Yeah. Because Cielo Vista, they had the JCPenney, Dillard's, Sears, or Montgomery Wards, whatever you want to call it now, or whatever it was before. And then eventually Macy's got in there too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Macy's is the one that took over after Montgomery Wards.
I'd actually be Sears took over Montgomery Wards, then
Sears was its own
Macy's
store.
Macy's took over.
Correction. Sears was its own anchor store. Sears was its own anchor store. You had Montgomery Wards, you had Penny's, and then you had Dillard's.
Doesn't sound right to me. It was Montgomery Ward, and then it became a Sears.
No, I don't think you're thinking of the. No, sir.
I want to give you the face.
Give me the face. If you wanna Google a quick map of it, go ahead. But I guarantee you, Montgomery Wards was there. Sears was there. So that you had Sears here, and that had an entrance where you'd come into the mall, and that's where they had the Chopsticks and Sabaros. You went through, then you went to the left, and you had a Dillard's. If you went to the main section of the mall and you went left and went all the way down left, that's where Montgomery Wards was. If you went straight in front of you, you had the JCPenney's, and then you had, I want to say that might have been Dillard's on the other side, or it might have been another section of Penny's. And then the Montgomery Wards closed down and became a Macy's.
No, it became new. No, I'm right.
You're right. So that was a Sears?
It was a Montgomery Ward, then a Sears.
When was it a Sears? I don't ever remember it being a Sears.
Sears. Yep.
Huh. And that's the actual layout, correct? You're actually looking at the layout?
I'm looking at the layout from 1990.
1990, it was a Sears. It was
a Montgomery Ward then turned into a Sears.
I do not remember. But what about the Sears that was on the other side of the mall?
The Sears that
was still a Sears.
No, it was something else.
I don't think we're thinking about this the same way.
See those. That was Macy's, JCPenney, Sears, Dillard's West, Dillard's North. Yep, Sears.
So Dillard's North, Sears, Dillard's West, Penny's, and then Sears?
Yeah, so it was JCPenney would be south.
Gotcha.
Then to the east was Macy's, north was Sears, and then to the west is Dillard's West. Yeah.
Do me a favor. At the bottom of your screen there, show me go click on the little share button there and see if you can share that screen with me. I am curious because it is not tracking in my brain. Okay, so there's Sears. Okay,
there's a Sears.
So where the Sears is, that has always been a Sears. But that's fine. No, it was because of the showing. I understand what happened. Where the Sears is, that has always been a Sears. Where the Macy's is, that used to be Montgomery Wards.
No, that used to be... What was it before?
But
the Macy's that used to be a Mervyn's. They used to be a Mervyn's.
See,
that
used
to be a Mervyn's.
That very well could have been a possibility. But I do remember that being a Montgomery Wards. I don't remember the Montgomery Wards being where the Sears was. But you know what? I'm not gonna doubt it. It just, for some reason, it doesn't track in my brain that way. But interesting, very, very interesting.
So yeah,
like I said, we're that's going to be one of those. I think so, someone is going to have to fact check for us, like as far
Right.
as
Right.
like because it's not tracking that. Well, the layout tracks of what I saw there, but it's not tracking of how you're describing it. And it could have been maybe the way it was said, but interesting, like that. So Cielo Vista, you think they had the better anchor stores?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah, I'll support that one. I think really the anchor stores were, for all of it, they were all pretty much the same. They were all the places I just walked through to get to the mall. That was it. It's like
So then for you though, what was like your go-to store? Like what was the main store that you wanted to like that you bought the majority of your clothes from?
The majority of my clothes, I would say probably Pennies. I bought a lot of my clothes from Pennies.
Okay.
Mervyn's. For a while, when it was still open and it wasn't at one of the malls, was actually the Anthony's there on Yarborough.
Anthony, oh, man, that takes me back. Wow.
Yeah. See now, okay. Here's the thing. What about that little shopping center on Yarborough? Now, would you consider that a mall? Because it did have a mall, like it was the Maltwood Mall, or the, as the title of it, where they had the movie theater.
Yarborough. Oh man, that was a strip mall.
Right, but if you went inside, there was actually stores inside there where the movie.
Yeah,
theater
but that was more like a strip mall. I don't really consider like a major mall because I don't remember any of the big stores being there.
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't a big mall.
Yeah,
it was one of those where I thought about, would you consider that a mall? Because Anthony's was the big store attached to it.
Yeah, but it was just, other than that though, it didn't really have anything that was appealing. Like
no, it really didn't. It had maybe a tuxedo store shop there.
Yes,
St. Cuthbert's.
The elegant penguin.
Yes. Now, fact check me on this one. St. Cuthbert's.
St. Cuthbert's. What the hell is that?
It was a store that was in that mall that we were speaking about at Maltwood and Yarborough. Okay, but if I remember correctly, I want to say they had a shop at one point at Bassett.
St. Cuthbert. Sorry.
It was sort of, I don't know how you would find it, as maybe a novelty shop. It was sort of like Cool Arrows.
Really?
Yes, it was a shop like that, where he sold a lot of the new age stuff. He sold some of the smoking stuff, a lot of incense. But if I remember correctly, and I definitely need someone to fact check me on that one, I remember they having a shop there at Bassett Center at one point.
I'm looking for it too. It doesn't say that there ever was one.
Okay, so maybe I dreamed it or something.
Interesting. Huh. Okay.
But for clothing wise, really it was a lot of it depended on what was on sale.
What about Spencer's? Did you ever shop at Spencer's a lot?
Oh yeah, I got quite a few of my like posters and stuff at Spencer's. Some of my blacklight stuff that I had in my room hanging at one point, I got at Spencer's. I'm trying to think. Some of the decorations I had in my room growing up were from Spencer's, like some of the wall decorations and stuff.
All right.
Like I said, Spencer's was actually where I got my ear pierced.
Right.
So yeah, that was definitely one of those stores that it was a go-to. We'd go to a lot.
Right. Do you remember? Because I know that I also said before how it was like our social media. Did you ever like talk or pick up a girl at a mall?
No, I took girls to the mall. I mean, I went to the mall with Heather. I went to the mall with a few of my other girlfriends that I can think of during that time. I mean, I didn't have very many girlfriends at that time. I mean, so I remember meeting a girl at the mall because that was easier for us because we were going to see a movie. But yeah, not really. What about you?
Not like I just remember going to the mall a lot with some friends that I had at the time, and then I just remember visiting Vinny a lot.
See, I did too. I remember that. You know, I remember going and seeing Vinny. Like, I remember going and hanging out there like 30 minutes before she closed, so that we, you know, she had a ride home.
Right. Yeah, Vinny and Laura. I remember that. You got to see them a lot there.
See, I remember Laura too. Like, I remember that, you know, there were nights where I'd, you know, give them both rides home. You know, they'd be like, "Oh, well, come pick us up." It's like, "All right, yeah, I've got my car. I'll come pick you all up." But yeah, I remember that. I remember picking up my sister and Nanette from the mall a few times. I remember John going with Nanette and one of her friends to the mall, and I remember hearing some stories about what happened there. Yeah.
Like, what kind of stories?
Let's just say they are not PG-13. Think about who we're talking about.
Anyway.
Yeah. You get why? No.
I get your drift.
So, but yeah, I remember hearing those stories, but no, I never got to do that with a girl either. You know, I always hear the stories about, you know, the guy and the girl like going into a changing room and making out, you know, and no, never got that one.
I saw a woman naked accident right once.
How did that happen?
Yeah, it's just so.
What were you doing, sir?
So I was with my mom, and I must have been, maybe 10 years old at the time.
Wow.
And I was passing by the changing rooms. At that time, the changing rooms didn't have like a really, like, they were kind of open at that time.
Was it where they had the curtains?
Yeah. And then, like, all of a sudden, like, I was looking at some clothes, and then I look up, and there's this woman talking to her husband, and she's butt-ass naked, and I'm just sitting there like,
what do I do?
Like, what's going on right now? Like, what the I don't know what's going on. I'm just looking at them, just like 10-year-old me looking over, and we made eye contact, and she's like, "Oh my god!" I'm just like, "What do I look? Where do I look? Where do I look? Where do I look?" So I just ran off. I just ran. I didn't care where I was going. I just ran off. I didn't want to get in trouble.
Oh my god, no, that never happened for me.
So yeah,
I remember going with some friends, and it might have been a cousin who I went with, actually. And I remember us being on the second floor by the Dillards, and it was where there was like an incense or a new age shop there at the corner. We were on the second floor there, and we were standing on the railing, and my cousin, what was the worst thing that you could ever think of doing at a mall? Before we get into this, finishing this story.
On the second floor?
From the second floor.
Like dropping food or dropping like water or some sort of drink on somebody?
Okay. So.
Or spitting on somebody?
There you go. Yeah. My cousin decides he's going to hawk a loogie over the edge. Hit somebody. And the guy, when it hit him, he looked and caught a glimpse of us as we like hightailed it out.
Bastards.
But all we did was like we went through, you know, Dillard's and, you know, came back out the other way and went downstairs and went through one of the stairwells to get around to the other side of the mall, and, you know, so didn't see the guy again. And then we ran into the same guy later on that day, and he's like, "Hey, were you guys standing up by Dillard's, you know, about an hour ago?" And we're like,
"Nope."
Nah, dude, like we just got here, like we got a movie to go catch, so we're gonna go walk over to the movie theater. Like, don't know what you're talking about. He's like, "Oh, all right." I was like, "Why? You know, like what happened?" He's like, "Oh, you know, somebody spit on me." I was like, "Oh, sorry to hear that. That's gross, man." But I was like, I look at my cousin, I'm like, "Dude, you almost got us killed." Like
you.
Yeah, I don't remember. It had to have been one of my like, I want to say it was like Junior's boy. I don't remember Henry. My cousin Junior. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
His son. I think it was with him. But it was one of those where I was like, yeah, I can't believe that. Like, I remember seeing, you know, people do that to other people. Like someone would drop a drink on somebody over.
Yeah, that was a thing. And I'm like, oh,
it's like, man, that's a dick thing to do.
That's a dick thing. And then you know where I think they got it from? Weird Science. Weird Science, where Robert Downey Jr. and his friend, they poured a bunch of stuff on the two main characters. Yeah. I was like, dude, is that a thing that they do at the mall? And then sure enough, I would see it sometimes. I'm like, yeah, that's apparently a thing.
It's like, man, what? Like, that's just crazy. Like, why?
That's just be a dick.
See, now, and then when you see where bullying started, like, that's really what it was. You have those popular girls who, the guy wants to look all tough in front of him and be like, oh yeah, watch you. I'm going to pour my Slurpee on this kid. What'd the kid do to you?
Just to be a dick.
Yeah, like I had it like happen to me like a couple times, but it was like someone dropped water on me. And it was like, I look up and like, what the hell? Like, okay.
I would have ran up the escalator with their ass.
Well, the problem was, think about it this way. My mother.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother is very passive and very nonviolent. And if I had been with other people, I guarantee stuff would have gotten stirred up.
See, Liz, I'm going to tell you this right now. You should have let him kick someone's ass. You should have let him do it. Teach him a lesson.
Actually, I think she might have been more worried for them, not me. She'd be more worried that I'd hurt them because I wouldn't have stopped. I would have kept on pounding until they stopped moving.
What the fucking little assholes?
Yeah, but I think it was the fact she didn't want me having murder charges.
Anyway.
Felonies are a hard thing to live with. I'd rather not.
Yeah, says who? Anyway.
But, well, now think about it. Like, I don't remember seeing a whole lot of the security guards and stuff at the mall that much.
They were around.
They were around. I remember every once in a while you'd see them, and like I don't remember the security guard that you were talking about at Cielo Vista.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember one, and this was after they had their little segways, who we'd see every once in a while roaming around, and it was like,
right,
hey, what's up? But they weren't like this horrible person, they were actually pretty cool sometimes to talk to. You'd be like, oh, how's your day going? But you know what? I had to stop someone from shoplifting. Oh, man, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
But they weren't bad people to talk to, really.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's the other thing. Just trying to keep things friendly, of course. But yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember that big black security guard.
But see, it's weird because you see these movies like what is it? Paul Blart Mall Cop. Yeah. Yeah. You see these movies and they make these guys out like, these
buffoons.
Yeah. And really, some of them were actually pretty cool. Guaranteed. Yeah, maybe that one security guard, he might have been in the military before.
That's just a stereotype that I think they just want to perceive them as, like, I think a couple of times, like rent-a-cops or whatever you want to perceive them as, but like, it's just that stigma that they had back in the day. It's like, oh, you want to be a cop, but you're a mall security, whatever.
Here's the thing about that, though, is, if rent-a-cops, okay, you know what? So they are not police, but they had to do some sort of training to get their certification to become a security officer. Sometimes. Most of the time. I won't mention that the training is only a 8-hour internet read a thing course, click the buttons and you're done and get your certification. But, it's one of those where maybe that's what gets them started on becoming a police officer.
Maybe. It's just, I think is that we're older now and we see things through a different perspective.
It's the same thing. Yeah. It's the same thing as the people who wipe down the tables and clean the tables in the food courts that we probably didn't even give a second look at.
Yeah.
I think about it now, and after doing a job like that, it's like, man, like, I wasn't an asshole, and I'm glad to say that, but it sucks that I didn't appreciate some of these people for what they did, because you think about that, and
it's an entire mall. It's an entire gigantic.
Yeah, they're not only cleaning tables; they're cleaning bathrooms in every single one of these stores. They're restocking that toilet paper, restocking that stuff, and you get to a location that's empty. Well, no one mentioned that this person has been working 6 days straight on. This is their 12-hour day shift, in the month. And they haven't had a vacation in 3 years. and they're working for bare minimum wage. It's like, wow. I think about it now, and it's like, whenever I see these people, I try to clean up my table as best I can before I walk away. I try to give a wipe down and give a quick, okay, and I watch some of these kids nowadays at the mall, and they just leave this mess, and it's like, man, like, where has that common courtesy gone?
No, it's just like the way they've been raised, all these little boogers. They're just like, oh, people will pick it up for me because I don't have to. And I can do whatever I want, blah blah blah. Like,
see, now there becomes a question: is that because maybe that social aspect? Because if you think about it, malls don't exist now as much anymore.
They're around, but they're just not as they were when we were kids. So
if you think about it, like, they're not the social hub that they were when we grew up.
Yeah, because when we were growing up, that was the place to meet up people. That was the place to meet new people. That was the place for like a lot of interactions to happen. So yeah, I mean, that's how I was asking earlier. If you had ever done that with a girl, or you ever did that, because like that was a staple back then. That's how we met people. That's how we interacted with people. So,
and what about you though? I mean, did you ever, meet a girl there to hang out with? And
well, there were, like I said before, like I only met friends there. But I mean, as far as like romantically stuff like that, nothing. Like that.
See, it was weird because for me the mall wasn't for that. For me that was a dark movie theater. Hey, let's go catch this. Let's go see a movie, and then we can make out. We'll go to the very back where nobody can see us, and But the cool thing about the mall was it actually had that. So really, I mean, you could do that, but never had that pleasure, honor. I don't know how to describe it.
Those bragging rights.
Never got the bragging rights to be able to do that. Like I said, I know people who did, and I know people who did much more than should have been done at the mall. But yeah. So what was your number one go-to food location? Like, what was your favorite place to stop for a snack, and then one for an actual meal?
A snack, because I didn't really snack. I mean, if you're talking about snacks, I didn't really snack at the mall. I really ate a lot at the mall. Okay. So like, I would go with my family a lot. So when our family would go, it would be like the place that we would go after shopping. We would go.
Now, what about when you were with your friends? What was your go-to?
With my friends, we would definitely be, well, I don't know. It would depend on our appetite, but like some would go to the Chinese restaurant. Some would go to like the Sabaros. Like mine was Sabaros.
Yeah. See. I would agree. Sabaros was that sort of always number one place.
Yeah, because like I could get a slice of pizza, or I could get like a sandwich too, or a drink. Yeah, they just had different combinations there that like if I wanted that, I'd get it. Yeah.
What was your favorite thing to get at Sabaros?
I have just the pepperoni.
Pepperoni pizza, just straight out.
Yeah, straight out.
Nah, mine, dude, was the calzones or the strombolis, the ones that they would fold like the pizza over itself.
Yeah,
those were great. Like that was my number one go-to. And then
I never got that. It was either the spaghetti. Also, the spaghetti was pretty good.
I didn't care for the spaghetti. It was not my go-to. The spinach lasagna that they had for a while was pretty good.
They had a spinach.
Yeah, they actually did a spinach. It was like instead of the meat sauce, they did like a spinach and ricotta type sauce in between. And that one was actually pretty good. And then they'd cover it, they'd drown it in you could do the vegetarian sauce, was like just the plain tomato sauce. But I don't see, it's funny because I don't remember all of them doing that, but I remember the one in Cielo Vista doing that for a while, and then they stopped. It wasn't a big seller. And then the one in Bassett never did it. It was always just the meat lasagna. But the lasagna was good too.
Interesting. Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but like as a kid, it was always like, you were always limited on money. You had, if you were lucky, you had $20 to go. So you knew that $5 of that was going to go to, lunch. So Sabaros was always that you could get the piece of pizza, the drink, and I think you could get like the little side salad for like $5, $6.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And then the rest of the money was, whatever I want to spend it on. I can get a shirt and then not play any video games, or I can go and play some video games. And
it was always had the shirt or video games.
Yeah.
Shirt, video games.
See, and for me, it wasn't so much the shirt. It was more of the book, like the comic book, or the video games. Because
Right.
WaldenBooks was like, that was my go-to store. But like for food, definitely, I would agree. Sabaros was definitely my number one with that too. What about your number 2 and 3? What would be let's say your top 3 on that?
So let me see. I mentioned WaldenBooks. I mentioned.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me re-correct that. Top 3 food.
Food. Okay, so I mentioned Sabaros. Then I mentioned there was a Chinese place.
China Gourmet or something?
There you go, China Gourmet. That's what it was. That's the name of it. China Gourmet and chopsticks.
Interesting. Were you the one who I was with when I bit into that chili that I didn't know was in the food?
It sounds familiar.
Man, I want to say it was you, and I don't know, maybe John might have been with us even too, but I remember we got something and it had just this, it had chili in there of some sort, and I bit into it and didn't realize it. And oh my God, it set my mouth ablaze when that happened. It was like, and nothing would quench the fire. It would not stop for like, I would say for a good like 5 minutes. Yeah, that's my memory of chopsticks. Thank you.
I just remember from chopsticks, they had a really good orange chicken.
Yeah.
They had a really good orange, and then they had a crispy chicken too that you could dip in like a sweet and sour sauce.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good. I remember chopsticks being really good.
Yeah, no, it was one of the chicken ones, but it was a spicy one. And it had these little red chilies in them. And I didn't realize how hot those red chilies were. And I bit into one, not realizing it, and it freaking set my mouth ablazing. Like to the point to where I went to the counter and asked the lady if I could just have a little pat of butter, just so I could get the oil into my mouth to get that capsaicin oil off of my tongue and off the roof of my mouth. Yeah, like I said, that's my memory of chopsticks. I mean, the food was good, don't get me wrong, but that is the one memory of every time.
I just even know.
Yeah. It was horrible. Yeah, but like my top 3, definitely Sabaros. Chopsticks I would definitely include in there. But my 3rd one is actually hot dog on a stick.
Dog on a stick. You know, it's funny because
the one right there by Dillard's.
Yeah, no, I don't know exactly what you're talking about. I think it might still be there.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's still there.
Yeah. And
the reason of that one wasn't because of the corn dogs. Like the corn dogs were corn dogs, whatever.
The lemonade?
The lemonade was good. That was what sealed the deal. But no, they had cheese on a stick.
Cheese on a stick. Yeah, I remember cheese on a stick.
They had the pepper jack or the American cheese dipped in the batter and fried like a corn dog. That was the most perfect snack with a small lemonade, and it was like $4.
Wow.
It's funny. I asked my, I asked Monica or asked Michaela, and they'd be like, oh, well, the cookie place was always great, and it's like, Mrs. Fields' cookies was good, but no, that one even tops the cookies. Like, it was the go-to.
Mrs. Fields, I remember Mrs. Fields. I always thought the cookies were too soft.
Seeing, it was weird with them sometimes because sometimes they were too soft. Like they'd have, like if they were just fresh out, but other times you'd get them maybe if they'd been sitting for just a little bit, or just maybe even sitting just a little bit too long, and they'd have a good little snap to them. And that's why, like, I remember Mrs. Fields. I remember you know, every once in a while I'd get one, you know, or I'd get like one and me and Dawn would split it. You know, so I do remember that. But yeah, I remember it just having, you know, just depending on when you got it, it was hit or miss sometimes.
I just remember it being too soft. Like, I liked the taste. It was just too damn soft. Like, I was like, it wasn't even chewing. You were just like.
So it was too moist.
Yeah. Wait.
So maybe it needed maybe a little bit more flour.
Maybe, but I just remember it really being like just moist and just being like really, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was good, but it's just like just that awkward feel.
What was your like? Well, you know what? I don't think we really talked about it, and we mentioned it just briefly, though. You know, KB Toys. What was that like for you?
Man, KB Toys was the best because I mean, even though it was like a kind of a small store, they still had a great section of toys. They really did. Right. I remember buying a lot of my toys from KB Toys. I remember buying a lot of my Ninja Turtles there. I remember getting a Silverhawks. Remember Silverhawks?
Silverhawks. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I remember I got it from there. It was the Copper Kid. That's where I got that from. I think I got my first Nintendo from there too.
Okay. So fact check me on layout if I remember it correctly. I remember you would first enter and they sort of had like, it was like a circle area where they had a bunch of like little different toys, and then they had like the video game section there where you could see the different boxes and you could pick the number for the video game you wanted, and that video game section was all the way over to where the cash register was.
Right.
Then you had the aisles, and if I remember correctly, it was 5 aisles or 4 aisles.
It was about 4 aisles.
Yeah, it was like the first one was like the littler kid stuff, like the Fisher Price little kid stuff.
Right.
Then you got into like the more like one side was like the Barbies and the girly stuff, and then the other side was like the G.I. Joe and
the boys,
the boy stuff. Then you moved one over from that, and that had like the video games and like the puzzles
board
and stuff.
Yeah.
The board games, correct. And then you went to that last section where they had like bikes and scooters and skateboards and stuff like that, like on like they sort of had them like on display there.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I am remembering it correctly.
Yes.
See, I remember getting like my Nerf gun there. I remember getting a couple of my Nerf guns there.
Yeah, and I just remember getting a lot of the toys that I had from that store, that specific store.
See, for me, I remember eating at Wyatt's with my parents.
See, I'm surprised you didn't say Wyatt's, because I remember going to Wyatt's also.
You know what? I didn't think about it, but Wyatt's was expensive. And that's what made Wyatt's hard. Yeah, Wyatt's was hard to go to because it wasn't... If you got lucky enough to go at a certain time, and usually it wasn't on the weekends, you could get a lunch-type meal where it was like a main, 2 sides, and a drink for like $6 or $7. And for me as a kid growing up, that was a lot of my money. I was like, oh man, that's almost half my money gone right there.
Right.
You know, so, but don't get me wrong, the food was good. And there were times where I got to go, but I went there a lot with my parents too.
Right.
But I remember after I'd get done eating, we'd go across to KB Toys and go and check out some of the toys. So wouldn't always get something, but I'd get to see all the different toys as they came out and stuff like that, and start planning my Christmas list, you know. And
I remember there was one thing that I remembered that just before KB Toys closed, and it caught my attention because I never ever forgot it. But I remember going to KB Toys and it had said, you know, closing store, blah, blah, blah. And in one of the sections, they had an Akira toy there, or figure. And it was the clown leader.
Right.
And his bike. And I sat there like, should I get this? Like, I really want this. And I never had the money. I didn't have the money to buy it. And it bothers me till this day that it was there. It was sitting there, and I was like,
oh man, I do not know what I would have done in that case, man.
I'm just like, I didn't have the money.
Yeah.
I didn't have the money.
Yeah. I would have begged, lied, cheated, stolen to be like, I will do chores for the next 6 months if you can just lend me the money. Like, oh my God. Yeah, no, I completely agree. See, and it's weird because growing up after I left El Paso and, when I went to the Disney College program, I got to experience Epcot, which had the Japanese store there at the very back side of Epcot. And so that store is like a giant mall. It doesn't have the shops, but it has the individual sections that are certain things. And I used to hate going there with friends. Like, they'd all want to go there, and I hated it because they had those really cool models and stuff, and these were the ones that were from Japan that they would have brought over, to be able to sell and stuff like that. So they'd have like the Akira, that's where I saw the first bike, the one with who was it? Tetsuo on Kaneda, if I remember correctly.
Kaneda's bike?
The red bike?
Yeah, that was Kaneda's bike.
Okay, so yeah, it was. You saw they had one of Tetsuo standing by Kaneda's bike.
Okay.
And it was like a really cool one, and I was just like, and just not and knowing that I had the money, but if I used the money, then it was gone. Like, I was like, I can't eat for this week.
Fuck it, I would have bought it.
Yeah. See? Uh-huh.
If I had the money, I would have bought it. I'm like, I'll eat ramen.
Right.
Or like, I'll eat cup noodles for the next week.
Well, see, and that was the problem, man. It was not having that kind of money even then. Like, I was on my, it was either ramen or that. You know what? Which one do I choose? Do I choose the ramen or do I choose that because I can't get both?
And you know who made those toys too? Those were McFarlane toys too. Those were like one of the first iterations of McFarlane toys.
Really? Very interesting.
Yep.
So were those the same ones that they sold at like Suncoast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then those are probably the same ones they sold at FYE also then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. It's just.
Yeah, unfortunately, sir, we were born in this life to not have the money that we needed. It's okay. Don't cry, Verdi. It's okay.
It is what it is. Oh well. Okay. I'm over it. It's okay.
But so what was your number one store to go to? Like, what was your, like, you had to go to it every time, whether you were going to buy something or not, you were going to go to that store and check it out.
It was always Suncoast.
Oh, Suncoast?
Suncoast was always the store. I loved that store because it just had a little bit of everything. Like I said, it was one of the first stores that I remember having the actual, like, the shirts with the graphics on them.
Yeah, the graphic tees.
Yeah, so like I was the first one that I ever saw that had like, different ones like Beavis and Butthead or Ren and Stimpy.
It also had the anime stuff too, which was
really cool.
It
had a lot of the anime. That's where I bought my first Akira shirt. Was there? I had at one time a Superman shirt that I wore a lot. I think I even bought, what else I get from there? Oh, I also bought a Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop from that store.
Nice. Very cool.
I bought that one. So I bought a lot of my first graphic tees from that store. So like I always went there to see what was always available, what was there.
Yeah.
Just to see if there's something I can buy for like cheap, if they had a sale or something like that. So yeah, Suncoast was my favorite store to go to.
See, for me, that's a hard one because Suncoast would definitely be one of those. For me, it'd have to be a top three, I would say, because Suncoast would definitely be in there. WaldenBooks would be in there, definitely. And then my third one it's a toss-up between Spencer's and Hot Topic. And the reason of that is because Hot Topic was much later. So Hot Topic was by the time I was in high school. Like, right. I would say probably sophomore year, maybe.
Well, you were still growing up, right?
Yeah, but before that it was Spencer's, and so there was a lot more of that growing up. As Spencer's was that store I went to, that was always my go-to checkout store because they had the coolest shit.
Right.
But yeah, so that's why, I think that would be my tie right there. And then if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Hot Topic would be my favorite.
Yeah.
And that's just because I loved the clothing. I loved the t-shirt choices were great. I could find WWE t-shirts there. I could find anime t-shirts there. I could find band t-shirts there. I could find off-the-wall t-shirts there that nobody knew what they were, but I did because I saw it on a TV show.
Right.
So, and then, the problem with Hot Topic was just the fact of it was so expensive. Like, the prices were insane. A pair of pants for $70. It was like, it's more than I can afford.
And you had those super baggy pants too from there. Is that where you bought from those super baggy black?
Couple pairs. Yeah.
Yeah, those things were like those things were like they're huge. It was like this big. That's how wide I thought those were huge.
Yeah, I had, and you know what? It's funny. I didn't even buy those from Hot Topic. I bought those online.
You bought those online?
Yeah, I'd already had a job, so I ordered it with my own money and stuff online through a website because I wasn't going to pay Hot Topic prices.
Right.
I paid online prices, which came out to about the same as Hot Topic prices, so it really wouldn't have mattered either way.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to support the man.
And now online is the man. There you go. Now look what you've done.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, Becky Lynch is the man.
Anyway.
But yeah. So, I would say then Hot Topic would be my top, my third choice.
Okay.
How about your favorite anchor store? Which was your favorite one to go to?
I like Dillard's.
Dillard's?
Yeah, Dillard's, because that time with my dad, just that time with my pops, where we would go and just like buy, the discounted clothes and just hang out and just chill.
Check me.
Yeah.
Dillard's, the one on the one facing the movie theater side. Okay, I think that's considered Dillard's West.
Mm-hmm.
Did that one have three floors? Third floor had like houseware stuff in there? Okay. I was trying to remember which one it was that had that. And I want to say the other one that was by the Sears also had that as well. And then they also had the restaurant as well.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So like the way it's laid out, it's that the very top floor was the housewares, then kids, and then the men's was the bottom.
Okay, and the other one was the women's.
Yes.
And then kids, and then housewares.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, I just remember going to those stores with my dad, and just like we would just buy cologne also because my dad's a big cologne head. So
what was your favorite cologne from that time? Like you remember finding there?
So there was one that was, because I had Ralph Lauren, of course.
Okay.
And then I had Polo to be exact. And then there was one that that's defunct now. I don't think it exists anymore. But it was called Cigar.
Ooh, I've never had. I don't remember that one.
A cigar. It smelled exactly like a Cuban cigar. That's what it smells like. So I remember using that a lot.
That's an odd smell. I mean,
no, but it was musky. It was musky,
it
but
was a very
strong.
musky. Okay.
Yeah, it was a musky smell. Like it smelled like like after you puff a cigar. That's how it smelled like.
Okay. No,
so like it was a good smell. Like
no judgment.
They're like, were you smoking? I'm like, no, I just had this cologne called Cigar.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. It's just one of those where, you know what, I'm a smoker, so for me hey, that actually would smell pretty good. I think about it, and I'm like, it depends on the type of cigar, though, because I've smelled some that smell amazing.
But like the principal reason for us going to
check me on this. Sidebar on this for just a second, because we just unlocked a memory.
Okay.
Do you remember there being a shop there at the mall that had knives and pipe tobacco?
Tobacco tin.
Was it at both of? Was it at Bassett? Because I remember there being one at Bassett, and I remember there being one at Cielo Vista, but I'm not sure if I'm correct.
Yeah, I think there was at both of them.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's called tobacco tin.
See, that was one of those triggering, when you said it that triggering moment. Like, what about this shop? I remember the pipe tobacco is what I remember.
Yeah, it was tobacco tin. Yeah, it's still around too. There's one on Airway and the other one's on Mesa Hills near.
So the actual shops are still around too. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, but I remember tobacco tin. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, see, and that's what I'm saying. It was the pipe tobacco is what I remember.
I'll share this real quick. There it is. There it is.
Oh, nice. Interesting. Oh, speaking of, okay. So remind me before we get off of the call for good tonight, to mention something about the 17th and 18th.
Okay.
Just if it triggers, just like
July?
This month, yeah.
Okay.
But so the tobacco tin. See, that's one of those. Do you remember the Yankee Candle Shop?
I remember the Yankee Candle Shop. Yeah.
That was one of my mom's favorites.
I remember a lot of fragrances coming. It was the Yankee Candle Shop and Bath and Body Works.
See, that
were
was
the two that always had the strong. Were all the other ones that just like those smells, those memorable smells that you just walk in, you're just like, holy.
Yeah, that's exactly. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think even today, Bath and Body Works still hits me sometimes when I go in there, just like, whoa, okay, yikes.
Yeah, no, sometimes I can't go in there. Sometimes it depends on how many people are in there, because if there's a lot of people and there's a lot of sprays in that air, it makes me sick to my stomach. It's there's so much. Yeah, there's so much smell, and my brain is trying to like pinpoint each little bit of smell. And
it's overwhelming. Yeah.
And I'm like, nope, I'm out of here, and I have to go walk outside. And usually I'll end up going outside and smoke a cigarette. Okay,
So then in high school, there was one cologne that I vividly remember. That was when you went into Dillard's, they'd always have, and it would piss me off because immediately that spray would set me off because of the smell, and that was Cool Water.
Yes, I do remember that one.
Fucking hate Cool Water. That cologne was everywhere in high school, and I could go down the halls and remember smelling Cool Water.
Everybody used it. Yeah,
I was just like, whoa, you guys are killing me. You guys are killing my senses. Because
that was part of the problem going through some of those anchor stores like that, like Dillard's and Penny's and stuff, was that the smells. There was just so many sprays in the air when there was like a lot of people that it made it tough to walk through them, because it was like, woof, okay, I need fresh air.
No, yeah. And like I was saying before, like the principal reason that my dad would even go to those cologne places or the cologne stops would be because he was always looking for box sets.
Yep.
He was always looking for box sets. So it was like Ralph Lauren with a towel and aftershave or something. And he was always looking for that kind of stuff. I'm like, Dad, we have like 5 gajillion towels. Why do we need more?
Well, I mean, you know what? If you think about it, the towel is $10-15 by itself. The spray that comes with it is probably $10-15 by itself. So again, the box set really does save money. I mean, it is a frugal way, and it's perfectly understandable.
Oh, and then the deodorant too. It called the deodorant as well. So, But anyway, it was it was just funny to me.
Tonight.
Okay, so then in this case, real quick then, Mount Rushmore 4. What is it?
All right, so Mount Rushmore 4. Cielo Vista. So for the mall type.
The mall type. So not the shops, not like the stores.
Well, that's my first one. I've got 4 choices. My Mount Rushmore. Yeah, so Cielo Vista is my mall type.
Okay.
WaldenBooks would be my favorite store.
Okay.
Believe it or not, Sears would be
Okay.
my favorite main faction store. And Sabaros would be my food.
Okay. So then I'm thinking of something completely different, but I'm just thinking of like different like stores at the mall.
Okay. Well,
So then my first one is Suncoast.
okay.
My second one is WaldenBooks. My third one is Sam Goody. And my fourth one would have to be, I think, Dillard's.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Well, see, I mean,
I was thinking about it because I was like, is it KB Toys? Is it Dillard's? But I think that time with my dad is what takes over the top of that.
it takes, yeah, no, definitely. I can definitely understand that. See, and Sears was the same thing for me. That's like with my dad. I remember going to the hardware section. I remember going to the watch store that was in Sears. And those are just memories that it's like, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
And then probably same thing with WaldenBooks. That was, went there a lot with my dad too. So it makes sense.
Yep. So in this case, like, what is your final reflection of the mall during that time?
I think the mall in general during that time, it was that hub. It was that socialization hub, because you had the stores where people would go to shop, but then within that you had your different subcultures of different people who would be at the mall. So you had, the goth kids, or the jocks who are always at Foot Locker looking at the newest Jordans. You had the gamer kids who are always at Electronic Boutique, looking at the newest video game stuff. Now, do you remember there being a sporting goods store at Cielo Vista down by the Montgomery Wards?
Yes.
I remember that store too, and same thing. That was where kids were with their parents looking for their baseball gear for the new season, or looking for their hunting, rifles for whatever. I remember with my dad looking at a few different rifles there, because that was our thing, is going out and going shooting. Well, hey, you know what? Found a new rifle.
What was the name of that store? I think it was right before Big Five Schwartz.
I want to say it was something like that.
Schwartz, something like that.
But yeah, it was one of those that I remember there. I remember they're getting camping gear there. But so it was that socialization hub though, because if you thought about it, you would see your friends there. You'd meet family there. Go with your aunts and your cousins, and then you'd end up kidnapping one of your cousins to go home with you for the night, type thing. You would, at our malls, it was really cool because they had everything. So it had the movie theater, it had the food court, it had the shops. So you could spend all day at the mall, and it meant you were out of the house all day long.
Oshman's.
That's
the name of it. Oshman Sporting Goods. Okay. I'm sorry,
but see, and that was the cool thing about the mall. I think it was the hub. It was the socialization hub that we've lost, as time has progressed.
No, I agree. There's just like, I know it's you want to say nostalgia, like that, but I think it's just so cool to go to a place and see people that you've never seen before, and interact with people you've never met before. Just like, it's like a social hub, like you said.
Yeah.
Where you can see everybody in one area, and they're trying to keep the peace. They don't want to try and start anything there. It was just a place to go to see people, and that's just it. Just to go see people. Just to see like other people that live in your area, to see that there are human beings around you.
Exactly. But see, and that was the coolest thing about the mall, and for me, I remember getting dropped off at the mall at 8:00 in the morning. And that was before the mall opened. Like, the mall wasn't even opened yet, but the movie theater, we were going to a 8:30 movie showing. And that's how we were starting our day. So we walked over to the movie theater and went and saw the movie. Then we walked over to the mall and got food. and walked around the shops, and most of it was window shopping. And then, you just hung out all day with your friends. And then at 5 o'clock, your parents would come and, all right, we're over by Sears. Meet us here. Or I'll pick you up at the main mall entrance. Or I'll pick you up at the Taco Cabana entrance. Or I think for us, that was the side that Olive Garden was on. So it was like, well, we'll pick you up at the Olive Garden entrance. And then you had...
We'll just eat the Olive Garden, whatever.
Yeah. And then you'd go and have Olive Garden with your parents afterwards. And so that was the coolest thing. You could spend all day there, and it really, it got us out of the house. It really did.
It really did.
It's one of those things that I miss having around us, because of living in the small town like we do. It sucks not having it. But I enjoy the small town that we live in because really it's pretty peaceful. There's not a whole lot going on here, so it's pretty nice. And I don't have to worry about my daughter, walking home, half a mile from school and something happening to her. But yeah, no, it definitely. And what about you? What's your take on the mall?
No, like I said before, it's just like, a place that you can see people around, like you could see like your neighbors, you could see people, interacting with other people. You could see, or maybe there's someone that you talk to at school that you haven't met their parents before, or you don't know how they're interacting with, it's just an interesting place because you could see those types of people. Maybe you don't get along with somebody, or maybe there's somebody that, that you like that's there. It's just all kinds of different interactions and different things that you see at the mall that it's really unexpected. That's outside of school, of course.
Yeah. Or it's like one of those shop retail associates who's there and who's been there for a while, and so they've sort of seen you grow up type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Definitely. Yeah, it definitely. Well, Freddie, why don't you let people know where they can find us next week? Well, find us anytime. And then we'll
you can hit us on the... I'm sorry, go ahead, man.
And then we'll also let them know. We'll go ahead and figure out what we're going to mention about next episode.
Ice cream.
Fernie gets ice cream. What a way to end an episode.
So then,
salad and an ice cream.
You can see us on Instagram at Cutscenes and Clotheslines, on TikTok at cutscenes.clotheslines, YouTube at Cutscenes and Clotheslines, and email us. Also, if you have a question, anything that you remember, drop us a line. Just email us at cutscenesandclotheslines@gmail.com, or you can even see us on our own personal sites as well. And ask any question you want, comments, concerns, anything else on the mind, whatever.
All right, so Fernie, I've been thinking about it.
What's up, dude?
Next week, I was thinking of maybe going in the direction of maybe some anime.
Hi.
All right, so next week, maybe discussing some Cowboy Bebop, maybe some Akira.
Fist of North Star, absolutely.
All right, man. So we'll, if anyone has any anime ideas, feel free, drop us a line on any of our social medias. Be sure you go and check out these episodes. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well. And I want to thank everyone for listening tonight. I hope everyone has a wonderful night. Fernie, sir, I hope you enjoy your ice cream there.
Always do.
And this is Cutscenes and Clotheslines. We will talk to you all later. And remember, this is the place where you come, where nostalgia hits harder than a chair shot to the head.
And I should know.
Probably explains a lot. Everyone, good night. Thank you.
Good night.